What up, though, people? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. We actually have a live stream of Jarvis Butt's final probable cause hearing that's going on today. So I'm going to play that for you guys and just go over it with you. Don't forget to hit the like button as you come in and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Wait till some people join in. I literally just had his live stream up. I don't even know where it went now, man. I mean, YouTube be getting on my nerves with all this. This is why I hate when all this stuff be popping on my timeline. I can't find out what I'm looking for. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. I'm trying to find the video. I just literally had the video on my timeline, and I hit something, and I don't know how to go back to my. Here it is. I found it, people. Damn. So I'm going to share the final probable cause hearing with Jarvis Butts with you guys. It's about a half hour, but I just wanted to. I couldn't be there physically, so this is my way of making it up to my subs. I hope you can be able to see my screen. This is as of today. This is new. This is his latest hearing. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that. Hold on, let me turn the volume up. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear me now. But as I was saying, this is Jarvis Butt's final probable cause hearing. It's been live streamed. I had some technical difficulties finding it and pulling it up and then it has some audio issues. But I'm gonna go ahead and play it with you guys. Like I said, I would be there in physical form, but I could not make it. But I'm glad that they did live streaming. I'm gonna minimize it. Oh, he has the same attorneys in this preliminary.
Yes, Judge. All right, good morning, everyone. We're calling cases 24-002-236, 24-006-232, 25-000-218, and lastly 25-000-241. These are all in the matters of People versus Jarvis Butts. I apologize, I believe I missed one. There's also file 25004478. Can I have appearances? Let's start with the prosecutor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tina Ripley on behalf of the people, P83688.
And good morning, Your Honor. Matthew Makepeace also on behalf of the people,
Same
P8279.
prosecution team. So yeah, this the same prosecution team and the same defense team that he had. What's going on is this his final probable cause hearing with Nazai Harris, but they've also conjoined the Allen Park case with this one as well. So you're going to hear information and testimony related to both cases. I'm not sure of the child's name in the Allen Park case. They didn't reveal that information when they first came out with the story. But I'm going to go ahead and play it with you guys, for you guys.
9-6.
Defense.
Good morning, Your Honor. Neighborhood Defender Service by Cheryl Quick, P83973, on behalf of Jarvis Butts, together with co-counsel Ken Riggins and Lauren Butler.
And good morning, Your Honor. Good morning to your staff. Neighborhood Defender Services by Ken Riggins, P82125, on behalf of Mr. Jarvis Butts.
Good morning, Your Honor. Lauren Butler, P88126, also neighborhood.
You look shell-shocked.
Mr. Butts.
Thank you. Mr. Butts is also joining us in court. Mr. Butts, your name, please.
Jarvis Butts.
All right, thank you. You can all have a seat.
He said his name
Thank you
fast.
for your patience this morning. We did have a relatively short chambers conversation about these cases this morning. And just to briefly summarize defense, you intend to raise an issue with regard to some outstanding discovery on the case ending in 218, which has the homicide charge. Is that accurate?
That's correct, Judge.
All right. It's also my understanding that there are two motions to quash filed today. The parties, the people submitted a written response to those motions to quash. I've had an opportunity to review them. Parties are ready to argue those motions today, correct?
So what they're arguing pretty much right now at this probable cause is there's been a motion to quash filed. A motion to quash is just pretty much a document, like a legal filing to dismiss some evidence, whether it be a witness testimony or some type of other physical form of evidence. It could be pictures, text messages, for example. So recently there was a motion to quash, I believe, August 1st and July 29th. I don't know if it was more than one motion to quash, but there has been one. And that's what they were pretty much indicating. And when I checked his record, when I checked the court website, it did mention a motion to quash file. So that was, I believe, filed from his defense team, I want to say. But let's go ahead and continue.
We are, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. All right, well, let's start with the file that Mr. Butts is here to be arraigned on, that being the file ending in 4478. How does he wish to proceed for arraignment purposes?
Mr. Butts would waive the formal reading of the information. He stands mute. We ask the court to enter a plea of not guilty on his behalf.
Thank you. A plea of not guilty will be entered on his behalf. Counsel, was the examination held in that matter?
So he pled not guilty.
We're going to get
The Allen Park.
transcripts ordered. And with that, do you want to move right into the respective motions to quash, or did you want to address the discovery issue?
I think we can go ahead and do the motions, and then we can discuss the discovery at the end.
So I'm going to pause it, guys. There were two motions to quash, just as I suspected. I believe it, two. Two motions to quash. And they're going to go ahead and get into that. But pretty much from what I do know is from the Allen Park case is that one of the charges was dismissed. And I believe we're about to get into the why one of the charges were dismissed. Don't forget to hit that like button as you come in and subscribe to the channel if you're not. And you can share your thoughts, drop your comments in the comment section. Just let me know what you're thinking about. I'm going to go ahead and finish playing it.
Okay, very good. All right, who's going to take the lead from the defense?
Your Honor.
Very good. Your motions.
Your Honor, thank you. So, Your Honor, I did file a motion to quash relating to case ending in 6232. For the sake of privacy, I won't mention the complaining witness's name. But, Your Honor, there was a preliminary examination held in this matter. There was one witness called. The complaining witness was the only witness called. She testified that at the time of the incident, she was 4 years old. At the time of the hearing, she was 13. So there had been a substantial passage of time. Your Honor, her testimony was she was home with Mr. Butts and Mr. Butts' girlfriend. At some point, the girlfriend left the bedroom. Mr. Butts was in the bedroom. She was on the couch. Mr. Butts summoned her to the bedroom, at which point she was ordered to take off her clothes. Her testimony was she took off all her clothes except her underwear. She took off her clothes, Then Mr. Butts touched her. I believe the order of touching her was he touched the top of her thigh, then he touched under her breast. And then she said he touched her where she peaked. Okay.
This testimony sounds
That
familiar.
was the sole testimony of this witness. At the end of the proofs, prosecution moved to bind over on an original count of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree and added a count of criminal.
So the testimony that they're mentioning, as far as the motion to quash that they filed, as far as the testimony, I believe we have that in the transcript as far as the testimony because it sounded so familiar. I'm not going to reveal that victim's name because it is a minor, but I've already heard I've heard the testimony. I kind of felt like I heard it from somewhere because I read it from the transcript. But that's why he's filing a motion because pretty much I guess they're basing it off of the age. She was 4 at the time of the incident, and now at the time of the preliminary hearing, she's 13. But let me just go ahead and click back in and play it for you guys.
Criminal sexual conduct in the first degree because of the statement of because of the statement
I'm gonna go ahead and rewind it.
was the sole testimony of this witness. At the end of the proofs, prosecution moved to bind over on an original count of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree and added a count of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree because of the statement of because of the statement of complaining witness. Your Honor, we believe that is an abuse of discretion. The only thing that we have on the record is she said she touched where she uses the restroom. And the only clarification we had was she said this is where she pees from, or she urines from, those were her words. From that, we have prosecution postulating that meant that there was some penetration, except there was no penetration mentioned. There was no penetration discussed. We know from case law, for a CSC 1 to happen, there has to be some form of penetration, even the slightest. Case law also tells us if she testified that he were to force her underwear inside of her, that would be sufficient for penetration. Yeah, we don't have any of that. We never have conversation, or we never have any testimony about her panties being pulled aside. We never had any testimony about her panties being forced in her. We never had any testimony about anyone penetrating her. Now, that is given the fact that she was 4 years old at the time this happened, granted. But at the time of the hearing, she was 13. Surely she could testify. I believe she was asked on direct that she remembered the events, and she said she remembered the events. None of that was testified. I think to say that there was sufficient evidence on the record that says that there was a penetration for the purpose of the CS1 is an abuse of discretion, and we believe that should be dismissed.
Thank you. And counsel, your respective motions, they're similar in nature in that you're arguing the issue of whether or not there's sufficient evidence on the issue of penetration on both your motions to quash, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you want to, why don't we have them argued as on the second matter, and then we'll hear one response from the people if you're okay with that.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so this is then with regard to the case ending in 24101, and, sorry. Okay, and this is Lauren Butler, P88126 again.
Thank you.
So first, to overview the facts from that case, I want to emphasize that this is only with regard to one of the two instances described. The complainant described 2 instances, but only one of them has been charged as first degree. And I am only arguing in regard to that and that particular charge. So at the preliminary exam for that instance that was described, the testimony included wearing panties. So again, that is similar. She never described those being removed. She did not describe any instances of penetration and only described light touching while wearing panties. The prosecution had the burden at the exam of establishing evidence of every element, and that included penetration. And again, the case law is clear on this. In particular, the case I cited in my motion, People v. McNeese, while that is unpublished, it is particularly relevant because it highlights this distinction where it needs to be more than just, it uses very similar language, to that use of the exam here with this emphasis on touching the vagina, rubbing the vagina. That's not enough for penetration.
So I paused it because I want to jump in just a little bit to talk about what's going on. They're just pretty much trying to sort through case law to figure out whether or not a certain charge should be valid or not. So much. It sounds like they're challenging one of the charges because there was not any alleged penetration is what was going on, and that's pretty much what they're fighting on right now, whether or not that act was actually done or not. And they're just pretty much citing different cases from previous trials or different cases to that's pretty much going to either support or debunk each other's argument pretty much. So that's they're just pretty much trying to sort out which case law applies to which charge pretty much.
And there was even a specified testimony about under the underwear and over. And yet, even with that fact, the court still held that this was not penetration. And that's similar to what we have here, this description of some degree of touching on that area, that alone is not penetration. It also relies on published case law, People v. Payne. Rubbing one hand, where it concludes that rubbing one hand over another vaginal area does not qualify as penetration. And I'd also like to address the response from the prosecution to this motion, because the argument they're making was not reflected in the preliminary exam testimony. Specifically, there was no testimony about inside the vagina. So while they're now arguing that that is possible, it's not the testimony we heard. We didn't hear this contrasting of the labia and the vagina. And this diagram that is now referenced in the motion was not used in the exam. So in conclusion, the prosecution did not meet the probable cause standard for first-degree criminal sexual conduct because there was no evidence of penetration, and bind over was not proper, specifically as to that charge.
Thank you. All right, who's going to take the lead from the people?
That's you, Judge.
All right, very good.
So I'll start with the first argument made by Mr. Riggins, the complaining witness there. Reference or
I don't think there's gonna be a lot of people in there.
Um,
I don't think there's gonna be a lot of people at this court hearing if this is the same courtroom they're gonna be using come in October, because it ain't enough space for everybody. It ain't even a lot of people here. And you can see the size of the room. That's crazy. But I'm gonna go ahead and play it for you. I just felt like I wanted to say that because I just know that like that ain't the actual courtroom they're gonna be using, but it looks like it.
She testified specifically that he touched my private part where I use the bathroom with. When asked what comes out, she stated urine. I then asked, tell me about what part of him touches you there. She states his hand. And what does he do? What does his hand do when he touches you there? She states he rubs my private part with his hands. I then clarified, is this on the top part of that? And she interjected, said the bottom. And I said, would that be where the pee comes out? She says, I clarified, is that a yes? So in summary, she testifies she's rubbing the bottom part of her private part where the pee comes out. Your Honor, in a motion to quash, this is the highest deference to the reviewing magistrate in this case. It requires an abuse of discretion, which is most deference to the district court. Penetration requires any sort of intrusion, however slight. And we use the term genital opening rather than vagina, so that penetration of that labia majora is sufficient to establish penetration or criminal sexual conduct in the first degree.
He ain't looked up once.
Here, the complaining witness testified that the defendant rubbed her on her bottom part where the pee comes out. When we think about basic anatomy, we know that pee or urine for women comes through the urethral opening. There's a lot of, biological anatomy down there, but we know that the urethral opening is an internal structure that's beyond both the labia majora and the labia minora. So when this complaining witness testifies
no pen, no pad this
that
time.
he rubbed her bottom part where the pee comes out, she's referring to an internal structure, thereby penetration. The examining magistrate also found that, and in her ruling, that for a woman to urinate, it's not on the outside of her labia. That's an internal. That would be beyond that. And so she found that it was a question of fact. I don't believe that there's any abuse of discretion by that. I believe that there's satisfactory testimony, at least to a probable cause standard, for that count.
Why you peek at the camera like that,
And do
though?
you want me to go on to the next one?
Please.
I'm gonna pause right here because before she moves on, so I don't lose anybody. Yes, Sweetness 313. This is new. This is the final probable cause hearing that we had this morning, and what they're arguing right now. Welcome in, by the way. Sorry. What they're arguing right now is pretty much technicalities and anatomy on body parts, on whether or not this certain act consists of any type of sexual abuse. Is what they're arguing, and from what I'm hearing, it doesn't. I agree with the prosecution all the way. I don't feel like this motion to quash was probably their attempt to make it look like they were doing their job in some aspect, but I didn't see why they wanted to even raise that as an argument. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump back in.
In the second case, extremely similar. This one is specifically. This complaining witness starts off by saying, you know how somebody would play with you in your sleep, like you would feel them in your ear, like this or something. We don't have what she was demonstrating, but she's playing with her ear. He was doing that to my vagina when I woke up and I was crying. I stated, all right, when you wake up to feeling something? She said, yes. I asked, where do you feel something at? She says, at my vagina. And I said, what do you feel at your vagina? Should I feel like somebody's playing with me? Like, I don't know, like somebody's trying to touch you but not wake you up while he's touching you. And I said, what part of him is touching you? She said, he's using his hands. She later confronted the defendant about it. He's asked her why I was acting so weird towards it. She said, you don't remember what you did to me? The defendant looked me dead in the face and said, I don't remember doing that, but if I did do it, then I'm sorry. Again, the reviewing standard is abuse of discretion. And here, similarly.
And this is what they're arguing about right now is not related to Naziah Harris. It's related to another victim, the Allen Park victim. They're pretty much challenging her testimony as to what she described at the preliminary hearing. A lot of people may not even know who this witness is because she's a minor, was a minor at the time. But yeah, they're just pretty much trying to. This is the prosecution, by the way, Prosecutor Tina Ripley. She's just pretty much trying to challenge the motion to quash that the defense, Jarvis lawyers, has pretty much filed to try to get her testimony thrown out in so many ways.
She testified that she felt the defendant at her vagina, that she felt the defendant playing with her, using his hands at her vagina. It's more than just mere contact, mere brushing against a vagina, or just merely touching on top of it. It's an intentional act at her vagina. By stating she felt the defendant's hand at her vagina, she's testifying to penetration. She did not state that she felt his hand on or over her vagina, but rather at her vagina. Again, we look at basic anatomy, Judge. The vaginal opening is beyond beyond or inside both the labia majora and the labia minora. And so because sexual penetration is defined as the labia majora and beyond, the vaginal opening is beyond both the labia majora and minora. And so by stating that she felt the defendant's hands at her vagina playing with her, she testified to penetration. And I believe that there is satisfactory testimony on the record to satisfy that to the probable cause standard, which is, again, probable cause standard is the lowest standard and abuse of discretion is the highest deference to the examining magistrate. And I believe that they both create questions of fact.
Thank you. Did the defense wish to respond?
Your Honor, in all seriousness, we're giving far more biology of the human anatomy than was ever put on the record at the preliminary examination. all we had at the preliminary examination they were touched at the area. We have young ladies who, although at the time this happened, may have been too young to describe.
I mean, but touching is still sexual
the
abuse.
actual part. At the time of the preliminary examination, surely they could have said, he touched me on the inside. He forced my panties aside. He touched me on the inside. And in either case, was that testimony ascertained, that testimony was given, that question was asked by either people. So here, all we have is hyperbole. This is what the complaining witnesses must have meant when they said that. Yeah, and I think that is a far reach, and I think surely that is an abuse of discretion to just simply say they must have meant there was internal penetration. That is an element the prosecution has to prove in each and every case when they charge a CSD in the first degree. In neither case was that proven, was that ascertained. We just have speculation, and to put those charges in front of a jury would simply be wrong, Your Honor. So we're asking you to grant both motions to quash.
Thank you. Do you respond?
Judge, I would just reiterate what he is already saying. I think in my case in particular, there's a
Can we
emphasis on
see
the
the
word
jam
at.
still? Like,
There's just no, it's not realistic to say that that's what at means. This comparison between at and over is really not what plain meaning tells us about the word at. At is very different from inside, all of what Mr. Riggins really just emphasized. So again, I would object that this should be dismissed today.
Thank you. All right, well, a motion to quash, and there's two motions to quash that have been filed by defense. The court has to review the record for an abuse of discretion, which has already been pointed out. The abuse of discretion standard is a high burden. And defense here, through their written and oral arguments today, have challenged the sufficiency of the evidence presented on the bind over of the respective counts of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree regarding the issue of penetration. So the court has had an opportunity to listen to the respective arguments from the attorneys here today. I've also had an opportunity to review the lower court record and namely the transcripts. And of course, the prosecution at the preliminary examination has the burden to show competent evidence that probable cause exists on each of the elements of the charge of offenses. So here, looking at pertinent portions of the transcript, and I'll start with the case where PB is the alleged complainant. There's a few pertinent portions of that examination transcript, starting on page 58. And it notes line 20, her answer to a question, he touched my private part where I used the bathroom. Question, okay, and when you use the bathroom, what comes out? Answer, urine. Question, urine, okay, tell me about what part of him touches you there. Answer, his hand. Question on the following page, okay, what does his hand do when he touches you there? Answer, he rubs my private part with his hands. Question, okay, was this, so when he's rubbing your private part with his hands, is this on the top part? Answer, the bottom. Question, the bottom part, okay? Answer, yes. Question, okay, and is that would be where the pee comes out? Answer, yes. With regard to the file where the alleged complainant is AD, and directing the attorney's attention to the pertinent portion of the testimony on this issue of penetration, page 83, line 14, this would be multiple paragraphs into her respective answer, reading, and you know how you like how somebody would play with you in your sleep, like you would feel them. And I think the pertinent part of this answer that's relevant to this determination is the next three words. And again, it's like you would feel them, quote, in your ear, like this or something. He was doing that to my vagina when I woke up and I was crying. Moving to the next page, page 84. Question, okay, where were you sleeping? Answer, I was sleeping in the bed with him. Question, you were sleeping in the bed with your dad.
so I'm gonna pause it because I don't want to just keep rambling on. He's just pretty much reading the transcripts from the lower court, and what he's doing now is just going back over what the testimony was of that witness. He's already heard the arguments from both the prosecution and the defense, so he's just pretty much summarizing what he's gonna How he's going to pretty much base his decision on whether or not it will be allowed into evidence or whether or not it will be dismissed from evidence. So that's the end result or the end goal of this argument or this motion hearing, is to pretty much know whether or not the evidence will be tossed out or whether it will be allowed into court. Meanwhile, Lee said, same mask. I know, right? Same mask a year later.
Answer, yes. Moving to page 85, line 8, question, all right, and when you wake up, you kind of wake up to feeling something. Answer, yes. And where do you feel something at? Answer, my vagina. Question, what is it that you feel at your vagina? Answer, I feel like somebody playing with me. Like, I don't know, like somebody like trying to touch you, like trying not to wake you up while I'm touching you. Question, okay, and do you know what part of him he is using to touch you? Answer, he's using his hands. So sexual penetration is defined, and that's defined under 75052-0AR as sexual intercourse, cunnilingus, fellatio, anal intercourse, or any other intrusion, however slight, of any part of a person's body or of any object into the genital or anal openings of another person's body, but emission of semen is not required. And here, based upon my review of the lower court's record and testimony utilized in making the bind-over decision, I think based upon the testimony that I just read in the record verbatim, the examining judge did not use her discretion in binding over on respective counts of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree. I think there was sufficient evidence presented on each of the elements, and specifically the elements of penetration in both files, to uphold the bind over, and attorneys are going to respectfully deny the motion to quash.
So there you have it, people. It was a nice effort for his defense team. I don't even know why they even filed that kind of motion. It was pointless because he had other charges and cases to deal with as well too. So that was pointless, just to try to get that one testimony thrown out. Basically, what the judge just ruled is that he ruled in favor of the prosecution. He does find that there are elements in that case as far as them bringing those type of charges, and pretty much denied the defense's motion to quash. But let me just hear his closing remarks or final remarks.
So attorneys, we have a couple of other issues to discuss. In defense, would you like to get into the discovery issue that was noted earlier?
I understand that. So one of the largest pieces of evidence is the CSLI that was used at the preliminary examination, which the prosecutor posits puts Mr. Butts at the scene of where certain pieces of evidence were located.
And so we're clear, counsel, you are moving into the file ending in 218. correct?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
apologize, thank
That's
you.
okay.
And
Back,
the file number that ends in 218 that they're referring to, this is Nazai Harris that they're talking about. So they're trying to pretty much argue about discovery. And I believe they mentioned where he was last found at on West 7 Mile. But let me just go ahead and turn this off.
is the CSLI that was used at the preliminary examination, which the prosecutor posits puts Mr. Butts at the scene of where certain pieces of evidence were located.
And so we're clear, counsel, you are moving into the file ending in 218. correct?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
apologize, thank
That's
you.
okay.
Back on February the 6th, Mr. Riggins reached out to the people and alerted them that our expert to review it, we needed what's the Celebrate UFED, basically the underlying data that is pulled, not the report that is generated from Celebrate.
What was the date that was put on notice?
February 6th.
February 6th. Okay, so just about 6 months ago.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we received a response back on the 14th from people saying that they would work on it and get back to us. We received another response on the 28th that they were looking for the files, essentially discussing that it's a huge amount of data that has to be transferred. And then we followed up, it was sometime later. And the next response I have is from May 28th, that there would be follow-up with the right person at DPD. They would get back to us. So we've been in communication with the people about this for this entire time. There's no surprise that we've been asking for it. And the response has generally been either that the DPD has it and they're working on transferring it, or that it's taking a really long time to do because the data is so great. They have to basically go through they would take it from a hard drive onto another thing that can be transferred, put it on ours, and then.
But I'm gonna pause it. It shouldn't take 4 months to give up to send over evidence for discovery. What they're arguing right now is the time length, and as far as getting the discovery to them in a timely manner. Gianni says, "Is this today?" Yes, this is the hearing from today. Gianni, welcome in. This is his final probable cause that he had this morning. Tosh, yes, for those that are just coming in, this is new as of August 4th, 2025. This is his final probable cause hearing. I was pausing it right now because what they were talking about is that the defense was pretty much complaining about the prosecution not handing over discovery after several requests asking for it, and they were pretty much chalking it up as it's too much data or we're taking time. Pretty much that's what the prosecution is responding to the defense in so many ways. But they've been asking for this, I guess, discovery since February, and it's now in August, so it shouldn't take 5-6 months to get that information. Okay, thank you so much. You're welcome. Appreciate you pulling in. Erica Newsom, welcome in. Happy Monday. Why are they still allowing him to wear it? I have no idea. I mean, COVID is something we've already been normalized into society, so I don't know why he has on a mask. I'm assuming that to hide either his bruises or his face in some attempt. But let me just go ahead and get back into the hearing for you.
Then they can send it to us. And as of this morning, we still don't have it. We are less than 2 months out now from trial. And given this is a huge amount of data, we have to have our expert look at it. We are very concerned that we don't have it yet.
I would be too, though.
Understood. So we do have trials set in that file. I've got it set for October 6th, so we're just north of 2 months.
That's the Judge Hathaway.
So Mr. Makepeace, did you wish to respond from the people's perspective? Why has this taken so long? It was put on your notice 6 months ago.
Yes, Judge, no, and I'm not disputing the dates or the emails that Ms. Quick referenced and the responses. There was a period of time where we had because it is an unusual request for the underlying file. They do, for the record, are in receipt of the cell phone forensic extraction reports that are generated, which are the files that are usually turned over. Those are UFDR files. This is the underlying file that comes with that or is generated and then put into a report. They have requested that on the dates and times. There was a period of time where I had to communicate with the OIC as well as the cell phone expert at DPD to figure out exactly what they were asking for. That did take some time, and then there was a period of time where I requested from the defense a hard drive that they provided to us for these to be uploaded onto. That hard drive, and I don't have the exact date in front of me, was turned over by Mr. Riggins to me. I transported that hard drive to the Detroit Police Department and provided that to the officer in charge of the case, as well as with the understanding that she and the cell phone expert would get together and get this uploaded. That's where I think the biggest delay comes from, is that there was a little bit of a miscommunication to them, between them.
That's typical though, but the one everybody knows, the county prosecutor's office they work pretty much hand in hand with the local police department, so they're like brother and sister. So trying to pass it off on the Detroit Police Department as far as the why they didn't get that evidence. Yep, that I wouldn't even buy that excuse. But if the judge allows it, hey, do what he said. The trial does start October 6th. That's when jury selection begins. So that's part of the that will be consistent as part of the trial. Yeah. Jury selection can take a couple of days, a week, 2 weeks. It just depends.
On our side of it, which is that one said it was done, one said that the other person did it, and nobody actually ended up doing it. When I went back to pick it up, it wasn't done. At that time, I brought the hard drive back to DPD and said, this needs to be done as quickly as possible. That was within the last month or so. The actual process for them to upload these or get the files onto the hard drive is to take it from a Blu-ray disc or a DVD onto a computer and then onto the hard drive itself. That does take some time, given that there are, I think, 15 or so phone dumps that they've requested these files for. and the amount of information is large. As of this morning, I spoke with the cell phone expert who is in the process of doing this. He states that it will be done middle of this week, Wednesday. And at which point I will myself go to DPD, gather the hard drive, and provide it directly to Mr. Riggins or Ms. Quick or Ms. Butler.
That should have been done a
Do
month
you
ago.
believe you will have to them by the 6th,
Yes.
which is exactly 2 months out from our trial date.
And just to make a side note, the defense not having discovery or all of the discovery that they need, that is a reason to get a trial dismissed as well too. So I don't know why the prosecution would want to take their sweet time in getting that information to them. They've had about 6 months to do so. And it seems like they're just playing the blame game between the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office and Detroit Police Department is what it sounds like. But we don't want to give them any type of ammunition to get this clown off of his charges, and that can possibly do it as far as them not getting everything as far as they need the discovery. Yeah, it's absurd, Tosh. Yeah, well, Gianni says, wow, that's what I said. Like they had over 6 months. And now he's pretty much saying, I'm going to watch over their every shoulder or watch over their shoulder, like pretty much like they're a kid to make sure it gets done. But that should have been done 6 months ago is what the defense is arguing. Salute, Michelle. Welcome in. Welcome in. But let me go ahead and finish this video up with you guys.
All right, why don't we schedule an additional pretrial date for all files?
Exactly, Kathleen.
Bring it in to hash out any potential trial issues and things of that nature. Also noting the people did file a notice of other acts. Which files which files did you file?
Judge, I filed that on all of the cases except for the newest one, because that one wasn't.
Okay, let me pause because I think I just missed something important. They just filed a notice of new. Okay, I got to go back and rewind it. But before I do, let me go ahead and acknowledge these chats. Kathleen says these excuses with this case have become so predictable. Stop playing. Since day one, since last year, Kathleen, I agree. You're right. That should have been done. They better not drop the ball on this case. They already did that, Tosh. They started that. They started that with the investigation. From the investigation to the preliminary and now to the trial. I hope they get it right during the jury selection. Though we need to at least get the right people on the trial. The judge sounds pissed. He does. He's sounding a little bit aggravated a little bit because most of this stuff that they're arguing pretty much, it should have already been did. So that's why he sounds like the way he sounds like. I kind of sense it in his voice a little bit too. Nikki says, hey, everybody. Welcome in, Nikki. Appreciate you pulling up. But let me go back and rewind it because I think the prosecution just dropped the bomb on me.
Potential trial issues.
That does take some time, given that there are, I think, 15 or so phone dumps that they've requested these files for, and the amount of information is large. As of this morning, I spoke with the cell phone expert who is in the process of doing this. He states that it will be done middle of this week, Wednesday. And at which point I will myself go to DPD, gather the hard drive, and provide it directly to Mr. Riggins or Ms. Quick or Ms. Butler.
Okay, so you believe you will have to them by the 6th?
Yes.
Okay, which is exactly 2 months out from our trial date. All right, why don't we schedule an additional pretrial date for all files? Bring it in to hash out any potential trial issues.
So I pause it right here. They're now adding on another date. So I have to change my caption. This is not the final probable cause hearing. Because of the prosecution being so lazy with getting evidence and discovery over to the defense team, they have to add on another date. I gotta be honest with you. I'm kind of getting just irritated with this case altogether. Like I'm gonna go ahead and continue playing. Because at this point, I don't know.
Things of that nature. Also noting the people did file a notice of other acts. Which files which files did you file?
Judge, I filed that on all of the cases except for the newest one, because that one wasn't in the system yet. So yes, there should have been 4 filed as of last week.
Okay,
And we do intend to file an objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
very good. So why don't we schedule a date to hear that? Are you anticipating filing a notice on the case Mr. Buff was already on today?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Defense, how much time do you want to respond?
2 weeks.
Okay.
I apologize, Mr. Riggins is out of the office for one of those next 2 weeks, so if we get a 3.
Damn. Okay.
We're going to come back on Friday, September 5th.
Judge, I'm I'm off that day. Back the next.
This is ridiculous, bro. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. They can't even agree on a certain date to have the final pre-trial. They talking about from September 5th. The trial starts in October. Like, at what point are we gonna get this done? Like, this should have already been done from the get-go. But I'm gonna go ahead and continue playing it. This is just ridiculous. Like, y'all just keep pushing stuff off. They talking about they off work this day. I gotta do this day. Like, come on, man.
Is this something, Ms. Ripley, that you would be able to handle in Mr. McPeace's absence? If not, I can find another date.
It is, Judge, but I'm going to be in a 2-defendant homicide trial that starts on the 2nd. And it's in Judge Cusick, so I anticipate it going on Friday.
Okay, understood. What if we come back on Friday, September 12th, mid-morning?
If we could come after my exam, that would be good for me.
The 12th is not a good day.
The 12th is not a good day.
I could do the 11th. That was
Ms.
good.
Ripley on the 11th?
Pick a
I'm going to
day.
be in that 2-defendant homicide. Is it the 15th or the 16th?
Ma'am, I'm sorry. They just playing with this man's dates and calendars like it's nothing. Like, they tell me I can do the 15th for this thing. At what point y'all gonna get in October, man? That's what I'm trying to get at. I agree, Tosh. They getting on my nerves too. Like, pick a day. Like, y'all, we're already going into October. What they talking about? Yeah. Anyways,
I know that's cutting close. We're starting to cut close, but
it's cutting it very close.
I think we could do the
How about
15th.
Tuesday, the 16th? Does that work for everyone's
That
calendars?
seems to work. Yep, that works.
Okay, we'll come back Tuesday, September 16th, to listen to argument on the other acts notice that the people have filed. Let's set that hearing at 10 a.m. All right, were there any additional issues that needed to be talked about or addressed from the people's perspective for today?
Judge, no additional issues. As I would in any case, I would just place on the record an invitation for defense counsel to come to our office to go through both paper and digital files to make sure that there are no other surprises. Just place it on the record. Ms. Quick, Mr. Riggins can communicate with me to set that up.
Absolutely, and as noted in chambers, when we set our October trial date, it was far off into the future. It was far off into the future with the, of course, the intent that all parties would make sure that they're doing everything possible to make sure that this case or case is the trial ready for October the 6th. So, at this point,
I can't disbelieve.
trial date October 6th, and we'll see you for pretrial date again Tuesday, September 6th at 10. Were there additional issues that defense needed to address for today's record?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Very good. I thank you all for your time and patience today.
Thank you.
To conclude our record.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He in a hurry to get out. Like, damn, hold on, let the shit in first before you exit, JB. Wow. Okay, so there it is, people. Pretty much we have the final pretrial on September 16th. That's too close to the trial. Nikki says, why is he always looking like that? He looks like he's drained out. It looks like he's in disbelief, like he's not on this earth. Like, he's still shell-shocked on what happened over a year ago. But yes, that's just what I get from him. But he sure did rush up out of there. Like, he didn't waste no time or anything. I'm like, damn, like, let the camera turn it off first. But yeah, so he has this final pretrial over the what they're going to pretty much argue on that date. That will be September 16th at 10 a.m. They're just pretty much going to argue. There's been a notice of new acts that the prosecution has filed. So what that pretty much means that they're trying to basically include some acts that was not originally stated were included, but now that should be. That's what they're doing. He can't even look up Karen. Yeah, I feel like he never does. It's I don't think I even seen Kathleen. I don't think I seen any relatives. I could have been wrong, but maybe I can go. I'm going back and watch it again. But that courtroom wasn't that large. But I didn't see any of her relatives. From what I don't know all of her family, but I didn't see any relatives there on her behalf. But you're absolutely right. Michelle says, okay. They need to stop allowing him to wear that mask and make him sit the F up with his head up. Exactly. Absolutely. Preach, Tosh. Yeah. But that's pretty much it, people. I didn't want to take much more of your Monday. I appreciate you guys for pulling up. Don't forget to hit that like button as you exit. Replay gang, appreciate you if you do that as well. Appreciate the live gang. But I'm going to keep you guys posted as always with this case. I guess next will be the pre-trial, the final pre-trial, which is September 16th. So I'm going to mark that day on my calendar for you guys, and hopefully they'll live stream that as well. I'm curious to know what new acts or new notice would they included to know now, because it's kind of like, dang, y'all wait till all the way up until the trial's about to start to add this stuff. It's not optional, Tash. She said, so if they don't have the discovery by the next probable cause, what happens? Pretty much in so many ways, when discovery is not shared or it's been included late, like for example with the YSL trial, it can be, they can argue for a mistrial by not having all of the discovery. So yeah, that's a possibility. But I believe this one they're actually gonna have no choice, because I don't think this judge is playing around with them. But yeah, thanks for the updates. Thank you, Michelle, for pulling up. Appreciate you. Don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe for more exclusive updates. This is a subscriber only channel, and I thank you guys for pulling up. You guys have a great day. Peace. I'm out.